was a young man in his 20s who one night went with his friends to the beach, a tradition they kept every weekend. Since the weather was extremely cold that evening, they decided to walk along the shore instead of swimming. As they were walking, the young man noticed an animal he thought was a rabbit. He immediately began chasing it, trying to catch it, while his friends laughed and called him back, telling him it was pointless. He'd never catch it. But the young man was determined to prove them wrong and continued running after the creature. The animal ran into a secluded area and suddenly stopped. When it turned around, it was not a rabbit at all. It resembled a dog, but it was much larger, far more ferocious, and had glowing, menacing eyes that shone in a terrifying color. The young man froze in fear, holding his breath, and began throwing stones at the strange creature. But it didn't flinch, nor did it run away. Terrified, the young man retreated immediately and ran back to his friends. Moments later, he saw another young man approaching, strikingly handsome and holding 2 tennis rackets. Without saying a word, the stranger handed him a racket, and the two began to play. The stranger was incredibly skilled. The young man couldn't win a single point against him during the entire game. Soon after, his friends returned, laughing hysterically. Confused, the young man asked why they were laughing. One of them said, "God help you, man. You've completely lost it. A little while ago you were chasing some animal, and now you're swinging an old shoe with the air." Shocked by their words, the young man looked at his hand, and indeed, he was holding an old shoe. He looked around and saw no sign of the stranger he had just played with. It was as if he had vanished into thin air. He excused himself and left early for home, spending the entire night pondering what had happened. He never dared return to that beach again, not even close to that spot. To this day, he has no explanation for what happened or who he had been playing with. He's certain he wasn't hallucinating. He had held the racket, felt the ball, and hit it back and forth throughout the game. So, who was he really playing with? Only God knows.